Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I was lucky enough to chat with actress Abigail Shapiro. You can see her right now over on one of my favorite television shows, Doom Patrol, which is airing on both the DC app and the new HBO Max. Abigail plays Dorothy Spinner, the daughter to the not so beloved chief on the show. She's a very powerful character, very important to the new season, and I was very excited to get to talk with her about it because, wow, what a strange show. Can't wait for you to hear it, so here we go. Hey, Abigail.
Hi, Les. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Thanks so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So, I was really excited to get to do this interview because Doom Patrol Season 1 was one of my favorite things to... I sat there every episode last season thinking, how is this on my TV? How did this get made? This is amazing. And I had also always loved the Grant Morrison comics. I had seen that you had read those and doing some research for it, and I wanted to get to talk to you about both your audition process for the show, what you thought of Season 1, and then also what you enjoyed or took forward into filming from the comics.
Yeah. Well, when I auditioned for the show, I didn't really know much about it, but I actually have a really cool story about the audition process. The day before I got the call for the self-tape, one of my friends was telling me to watch the show. He had just finished the series, and he was like, Abby, you really have to watch the show. It's so good. It's like, I'll get to it at some point, I guess. And then I got the call for the self-tape. And I was like, I should just audition and see what happens. And so I sent in the self-tape. And then a few days later, I decided I want to watch the trailer to see what this show really is, because I kind of did the self-tape blindly. And I watched the trailer, and right as I was watching the trailer, I got the email for the callback. So then I was like, okay, I should start doing a little research on this. So I watched the first few episodes. I didn't have much time to do a lot before the callback because it was so soon. But I watched the first few episodes, and I immediately fell in love with the show. It's so unique for a superhero show. It has all of those weird, quirky moments that it's known for, and it also isn't afraid to explore the darker sides of our humanity, and I really liked that about the show. The callback went well, and when I got the part, I was in a cafe called Argo Tea, and I got a call from my agent. My agent was like, you got the role of Dorothy Spinner. Do you want to accept? And I turn around, and on the wall, there's a poster of Diane Guerrero, and it's a poster promoting one of her books. And I was like, it's a sign. So then I said yes.
That's
and
great.
then I read the comics right when I got the part. I read the Grant Morrison ones, and then I read the Rachel Pollack ones. And they're really cool. The artwork in these comics are amazing.
Yeah, I remember when they were coming out, they just didn't look like anything else comic book on the shelves. And similarly, the world is just covered in comic adaptations right now, and Doom Patrol just isn't it's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, it's weird. Did you know when you were going for the audition? For me, watching Season 1, it was a bit of a surprise and kind of came out and caught me off guard that we discover everything the Chief has done. All of these characters that we love and what's happened to them has basically been in service of protecting a character we've not quite met. And did you know quite the importance of the role you were going for in the plot?
Not when I initially auditioned. I kind of I really connected to what I saw of the character when I read the sides. And my friend was telling me about the show the day before, so I was like, I should just audition and see what happens. But I started to learn more about the character before the callback, and I started to realize the importance of the character then.
I was surprised in watching the trailer for Season 2 how much prosthetic and how much makeup that you have to be acting under. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about both sitting through that process and then also keeping yourself
About the prosthetics?
about the prosthetics, but also I'm always interested in how actors keep themselves in the moment and in process regardless, but also when your face is itching, or you can't emote or express quite the way you thought. Can you talk a little bit about working through that and making sure that the characterization you wanted to come across still did?
Well, the whole process of the prosthetics was incredible. We did a couple weeks of makeup tests before we started filming, so they definitely changed a lot throughout those tests, which was really cool to see. And we got it. The process was about 3 hours every time in the beginning, and then we got it down to 2 hours, and then 1:45 by the end of filming. And I was just so impressed by these really talented makeup artists, Derek and Eric, who did the prosthetics every day. And I learned a lot about what they do, and I have a whole new appreciation for it. It wasn't too difficult getting emotions across because I think they constructed the prosthetics so well. One of the hardest parts, though, was working with the fake teeth, because I wear these ginormous fake teeth with like slight fangs, and I do a British accent. So my British accent wasn't perfect to begin with. So I was a little stressed about that. But what I did to overcome that challenge, I watched all of the Harry Potter movies the weekend before we started filming with the fake teeth in, and repeated every line back.
That's
and
great.
That helped a little bit.
A little bit of Hogwarts immersion.
Yes, exactly. And Harry Potter's marathon, that's always fun.
Yeah. It's never a bad week. Oh, you've got to do it for work. I mean, your hands are tied.
Yeah,
I have to. I'm sure I'm going to be surprised, and I want to be for season 2. Without, I guess, going into spoilers, was there a most fun or most, oh my gosh, this is my day job moment in filming for you?
Yes, whenever I had to do a cool stunt, just wearing the prosthetics in general. And there's one scene in episode 1, you see it very briefly in one of the trailers, when me and Robot Man are in the car.
Mm-hmm.
That was my very first day of filming. It was the first scene I shot, and it was just so much fun. And there's a scene you'll see in episode 5 between me and Diane that was also a lot of fun. Those are kind of my favorite moments of filming.
One of the things that I think really drew me to this show, in particular in season 1, is how much it leans on family and not, or the idea of why you're together, and why you care about each other, rather than this just assumption that we're all an altruistic team. And I know that you have personal experience getting to really work on a family team. You and your sister Millie doing the Shapiro sisters. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to write and perform your own show as a minor in New York City? Was that daunting? Did you just have to brush it off and not think about it?
It actually wasn't daunting because we were so young. I think a lot of it just went over our heads. My sister was 11 and I was 13, so we were really young, and it was something we've always wanted to do. We had a very unique story of how we began our careers. We both auditioned for Broadway shows at the same time, it being our first auditions, and we both ended up booking it. So we wanted to tell that story really badly, and we decided, what if we do a cabaret? Because we saw, I don't remember who it was, but we saw someone's cabaret at 54 Below, and we were like, we want to do something like that. So we worked our asses off in order to write our own show, perform it, and being so young, it was a lot of fun for us. But I think a lot of the stress went over our heads.
Was that the year before you booked Liberty monumental new musical.
Yes, that was the year before that.
And so on that one, they retooled that show around your age once they'd cast you. Is that right?
Yes, that's also a really cool story. I auditioned originally for the child role. I was going to play a little boy named Giovanni, who was Italian, and I guess they were so impressed with my audition, they asked me to come in to audition for the lead role of Liberty, who was supposed to be someone in their 30s, late 20s. So that was really cool. It was amazing to be able to say that they rewrote a role for me. And I'm just so grateful for that whole experience.
I think I primarily know Millie from Hereditary, which was another one of my favorite things in the last couple of years. And I do you as acting siblings in a family, do you compare weird stuff you had to do on a role, and was Doom Patrol just a really great way to jump ahead in that race? I feel like Hereditary has to have had some odd onset moments, and I feel like Doom Patrol's got to just race out ahead.
I guess kind of. We don't really look at it as a competition. We're both so different as people and as actors too, so we go out for very different roles. But we do love to share our experiences with each other. Like, I got to visit Millie on the set of Hereditary, which was so cool, and she got to visit me on the set of Doom Patrol. So we're always really happy for each other, and we support each other. We're only competitive when it comes to something other than our job. Like, if we're swimming or something, we'll be competitive, like if we race or something. Stuff like that.
I can't imagine getting to see those dollhouses on set. That would have been wild. I had seen in your bio that you had an interest in painting, and I wanted to ask if you had a favorite medium or how you got into that as a creative outlet.
Oh, I've been painting for a while. I've never really taken any like official lessons. I kind of do it just for fun. I use acrylic paints. And I have a very realistic kind of style. I post a lot of my paintings and stuff on my Instagram and all of that, all the social media. It's just a good way to, I guess, express emotion in some way and deal with stuff. Yeah, I also went through a phase where I was painting people's pets for money, which was a lot of fun.
That's great.
And it was a good way to make money too.
I must confess I have a blanket with my dog's portrait on it, so I can't talk. That's definitely a thing. One of the things I did want to give you an opportunity to talk about, because it was not something that I had really had much awareness of. The National Organization for Rare Disorders and also CCD Smiles, cleidocranial dysplasia in general. Can you talk a bit about your advocacy and that condition and the work that's being done on it?
Yes. Well, cleidocranial dysplasia is a congenital anomaly that affects the bones and teeth. And I wanted to bring awareness to the disorder, number one, and also I've been trying to bring awareness to this new act that was announced February 2019 called the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. And basically this act states that anyone who's born with an anomaly of some sort, a rare disorder, will be able to get the treatment they need covered by insurance. Because as of right now, it isn't covered by insurance, and most people born with a rare disorder aren't able to afford the treatment they need to function properly, and they either have to not get that treatment or spend a fortune getting the treatment they need. So with this act, all of that would change, and I've been very passionate about making a change for this for many years, because My family has kind of struggled with us getting the treatment. I've gotten the treatment, which I'm very grateful for. My sister also has the disorder, so that's why I say we. But I can't even imagine what it's like for those who aren't able to get the treatment they need when they need it. And I've wanted to bring awareness for these organizations because they also talk about this act and bring awareness to it. And it'll help not only people with CCD, but also hundreds, millions of other people with rare disorders.
And is that something folks could reach out to their, they would want to reach out to their federal representatives and senators about?
Yes, definitely.
Got it. I just want to make sure that I don't leave folks riled up about this and not then send them on their way to do something.
And not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And also visit the websites of NORD and CCD because they'll give you a lot of information on what to do to support this act and do something to make this change.
That's great. I'll make a point of including links for that in the show description as well.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Well, folks will be able, I'll be able to watch the first 3 Doom Patrol here in a couple of days. And I'm very excited. Thank you so much for making time today to talk to me about all of this. Really, really enjoyed getting to speak with you.
Yes, this was great. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.